Hello YouTube. I'm here doing a car video, and I haven't been making any videos for quite a while because I've been kind of very busy. But yes, I would like to do a video on narcissism and the fact that they get people pregnant on purpose to gain a lifetime of narcissistic supply. I didn't really know about narcissism until recently, about a couple of years ago. Well, anyway, I came to the conclusion that my son's father may be a narcissism or narcissistic. Well, my son's father may be a narcissist or narcissistic traits. And I'm not here to call anybody out, or I know I might receive a lot of backlash. A lot of backlash about this. I'm just trying to educate, young ones about narcissism. Before I really get into this video, can you please like and subscribe and leave a comment? Well, back when I met my son's father, it was years ago. It was years ago. I was young, very naive, and I really didn't know what narcissism was. And this was like on New Year's Eve. I was about to go out and go to a party, but he called me to his house instead. And we slept together and we had sex. And then I can remember very vividly, like it was yesterday, where he told me that I may have gotten you pregnant. Because I think I'm ready for a child. You scared? And he asked me, was I scared? And I told him no. But after I found out I was pregnant, but a couple months later, but during those couple of months, I really didn't hear much from him. But when I found out I was pregnant, I went over his house. And not so long afterwards, he became very cold, very distant, and very abusive. And just about almost the whole time I was pregnant, I didn't hear anything from him. And he wanted absolutely no relationship with me. I remember when I was over his house, when I had stopped over his house before, he was on the phone talking to another girl, and this was like during my early stage of pregnancy. And I asked him, why are you talking to another girl while I'm pregnant? Well, we don't go together. That was his answer. There's no feeling at all. First, let me explain to you what narcissism is. Narcissism is a personality disorder. They suffer some kind of abuse or childhood trauma, whether it's physical abuse or sexual abuse from their narcissistic parent or caregiver, whoever was their caregiver. And they have no compassion, no empathy. They have a very high sense of ego, very inflated ego. They have a sense of entitlement. They're very self-centered, and they can be abusive and beyond very abusive. Back to the story. He was on a phone with another girl, and he said, and I asked him about it. Oh, we don't go together. That's what he said. But and I said, well, we was sleeping together, but we don't go together. See, he feels though it have to be mentioned that we go together, even though we're sleeping together. To me, this is a form of gaslighting. That's what this is. To confuse you. And just about the whole time we were pregnant, I hardly heard anything from him. I remember during the time I was about 8 months pregnant, and I called and told him I was coming over there. When I came over there, he had me sitting on the steps for an hour or two before he finally showed up. Just not caring. Well, and right after I had my son, it seemed like the abuse ramped up. Because let me go back to during the time I went in labor. He was nowhere to be found. Nowhere. Like I said, I hardly heard anything from him practically the whole time I was pregnant. Never a phone call to see how am I doing. No concern. My pregnancy was very lonely, very depressing, because he became very distant and wanted no relationship with me, none. Didn't want to marry me or anything. What? And when I went into labor, he was nowhere to be found. Nowhere. And called his family members. They didn't know where he was at either. And then when I finally went to the hospital, that's when he finally showed up. It showed up dressed up holding a pair of skates, like he was going to a skating rink. Well, in other words, partied the whole time I was pregnant with his child, no concern. And, well, I remember my aunt had went to the hospital with me, and then when he showed up, that's when she left. And he should have been with me the whole time. And when it finally showed up, he really didn't show no concern, no comfort or anything. As a matter of fact, he was on the phone talking with his friends while I'm in labor. While I was in labor. And then the hospital sent me home. Then the hospital sent me home because I wasn't fully dilated. But instead of him staying with, but just because but when they sent me home, I was still in labor. Instead of him staying with me, he sends me home by myself in a cab so he can go, because he wanted to go out and party with his friends. He said, I'm gonna call your cab. I said, you asking me not coming? He said, no, I'm going out. He told me no, he was going out to party with his friends, going out skating. When I went and I was in that cab by myself in active labor pains back to back to back, and he goes out with his friends to party. He goes out with his friends to party. And then I had to go back to the hospital. I was in the hospital I was in a hospital room all night in labor alone by myself. And he was nowhere to be found again. Nowhere. Nowhere to be found. And then he finally showed up when it was time for me to have it. When it was time for me to have my son. Then he finally showed up. But like for an hour or two, I was alone. And then I had a C-section. And then when he came back the next day to visit me with his friends. He always have his friends with him. He never alone. He was very distant then. And then I said something like, well, you... And then he had a nerve to make a remark, to make a side hand remark about my appearance when I had just gave birth to his child. I was saying that you act like I'm ugly or unattractive, and then he said, well, you ain't too far from it. Just ridiculous. And not only after I came home from the hospital with the baby, he gave me a baby shower. Well, you might as well say the baby shower was for him, because he kept just about all the gifts. I only went home with like a few blankets he gave me that he bought from the secondhand store or thrift store. and, and some and some baby hygiene products, baby wash and soap and hairbrush, and a couple of t-shirts, and probably, but he kept everything else. One of his friends bought him a very expensive stroller that he kept, never seen it again. I remember a bottle sterilizer he kept. I mean, he kept everything. I mean, you have to not. Ask him when I would ask him for these things, he would tell me in a hateful way, "Buy your own." And then he would buy things for my child, for my son, and keep everything that he bought, and kept doing this until the point where I would have to take him down child support. I mean, and you would have to have no compassion, no empathy to be able to do these things. Well, buy things for the child and keep the things. He would even keep things that I bought, just being spiteful and vindictive for no reason. And I remember one time where I bought my son a bike. He was about 2 or 3 years old. And he went over his father's house, and I sent the bike over there with him, and he bought him back, and I asked for the bike, and he said, "Oh, I forgot." He said he forgot, knowing darn well he did that on purpose. Because I kept telling him to bring the bike back, he wouldn't bring it back. Call him up. You're getting on my nerves, and hang the phone up in my ear, and hang the phone up on me. And then I had to get the police involved. I mean, see, narcissists, they get their narcissistic supply by treating people bad, being emotionally abusive. They emotionally abuse people to regulate their emotions. I mean, and the abuse just got worse and worse during the years. He kept trying to send me to court for custody. Even though that's another video, but trying to sue me for custody, and they will get you pregnant on purpose just for a lifetime of narcissistic supply. Lifetime of narcissistic supply. They want to, just to have some kind of control, just to control and abuse. It gives them control. It gives them attention. It's like, look, see, I have a baby too. It gives them attention. They want everybody to see you with the child. I mean, they want everybody to see them with the child, so they can think they're a good guy. They get admiration, praise. the, people looking up to him. And then when they had the child, they leave them on other people. They don't have to take care of them right. I remember just like it was yesterday when my child was a baby. He brought him home, didn't even clean him good when he changed him. Left poop underneath his scrotum. Then I called him up about it on the phone and told him about it. He said, "Well, tells me I ran out of baby wipes." That's the excuse he gave me. But anyway, they don't have to take care of the child, and they leave the child with other people. Plenty of times when I go to pick up my child, he's with other people, either one of his friends or family members. And it's well anyway. Anyway, to these young ones out here, young girls, be careful who you have a child with. Use protection, condoms or whatever. Don't just get pregnant by just any old body. Be so careful because the narcissism is on the rise. Is on the rise. Because during the years, my son's father became more and more abusive, and I had to go through hell and back to get child support. Well, I'm gonna conclude this video, and I know I'm gonna get a lot of backlash. Like I said, it's just to educate young ones on narcissism, bring narcissism awareness, and what I've been through. Because to tell the truth, nobody understands about narcissistic abuse unless they've really been through it. I don't care if you are a therapist or whatever. They don't truly understand unless they've been through it. They just know the basics of it. They don't know they don't know the degree of abuse that you have to go through. And then after that, you suffer from complex PTSD from it. And if you want, if you want to seek a therapy, you have to go to somebody that specializes in narcissistic abuse, because a lot of therapists, they don't really know about it, or not really educated about it either. You have to go to somebody that specializes in that, because a lot of people just don't understand it. Narcissists, they are attractive to codependent people that are very nice empath, people that are very empathic, people that are people-pleasing pushover, because they had narcissistic parents. And sorry I have to say this, but I think my father was narcissistic too. Even though he died years ago, God rest his soul. But he was very abusive. He was abusive to both of his wives, and including me. And I know I'm going to get so much backlash from family members, but I'm only going by my experience and what I saw and what I've been through. And I probably get a lot of backlash from my sisters. My father was married twice. From his first wife, he had me and my brother. His second wife, he had my two sisters. And he was abusive to both of his wives. And my sisters, they were like 9 or 10 years old when he died. So they don't really remember how he was, you know. But I remember vividly, and I still suffer from it. I still suffer from PTSD from the narcissistic emotional abuse I received from my father, my son's father, and my husband, who I've been separated from for a few years, because he's narcissistic too, and he's terribly abusive. He's a narcissist and a psychopath. And from my sisters, and to my sisters, I know I'm gonna receive a lot of backlash from y'all, and I'm sorry. I apologize, but I'm only being honest and sharing what I've been through, because y'all were very young when our father died, and y'all were very young when our father died, and y'all really don't remember how he was. But he's the root cause of me attracting narcissistic people and narcissistic relationships, even narcissistic friendships. When you've been raised by an abusive narcissistic parent, rather you've been abused physically or emotionally, it can have a whole lifetime effect. It sets you up. It sets you up to attract other narcissistic people that abuse and take advantage of you. And it sets you up to either become a narcissist yourself or codependent. A codependent or a people pleaser. People please and pushover with no boundaries at all. And nobody realized the effect of having a narcissistic parent does to you. That is the root cause of me attracting narcissists in my life, and people just taking advantage of me. Well, I'm gonna conclude this video. Please like and subscribe, and please leave a comment. Thank you. Bye bye.